Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is on these two piece. This tutorial comprises of the pattern drafting and sewing, all done directly on the fabric. A part of this tutorial was among the videos I lost when my memory card crashed, but the good side is that we already have that tutorial on the channel. I'll leave the link in the description. So do not forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into the tutorial. I'll be working with this black lace fabric. My fabric is in pieces, but you will need about 3 yards if you're a small or medium size, and 3.5 yards to 4 yards for a large and extra large size. I have 2 pieces of the fabric here for the front panel, and the hem of this fabric is already hemmed. So here I'm highlighting my shoulder line, and from this shoulder line to the hem of the fabric measured 30 inches, which is the full length of my shirt after sewing. On this shoulder line, I'll place the neck width of 3 inches plus ½ inch seam allowance to attach the placket, making it 3.5 inches, and the neck depth of 3 inches. I'll square out these points and draw in the front neckline. With my tape still on the shoulder line, I'll place half of my shoulder measurement of 8.5 inches plus ½ inch seam allowance to attach the placket, making it 9 inches. I'll mark that. And with my tape on this 9 inches point, I'll go down 9.5 inches for my front armhole level, and I'll square out these points. With my tape on the shoulder line on 1/2 of my shoulder, I will go down 1.75 inches for my shoulder slope. I will connect this point back to the neckline, and on the armhole level, I will place 1/4 of my hip measurement plus 1 inch for ease, plus the ½ inch seam allowance to attach my placket, making it 11.5 inches. I'll find the midpoint from the shoulder slope point to the armhole level and make a point, and on this point I will come in by ½ inch, and with these points I will draw in the front armhole. At the hem of the skirt, I'll place 11.5 inches, that's 1/4 of my hip measurement plus an extra 1 inch for ease, plus the ½ inch seam allowance to attach the placket. I will draw in the side seam and cut it out. On the neckline, shoulder line and armhole I used ½ inch seam allowance, and on the side seam I used 1 inch because my shirt has a slit on both sides. This next step is something I usually do on my shirt to remove excess on the center front and get a better fit. It's optional. So from the shoulder line, I will go down at 11.5 inches, that's my bust point, and mark that. Then on the center front here on the neckline, I will come in by ½ inch and just connect it to that 11.5 inches and trim it off. I have placed the front piece on the back panel to serve as our template, and here I have shifted out the ½ inch seam allowance to attach the placket, so it's not included, and my back piece is on fold. To draw in the back neckline, I will place my tape on the front neck depth and go up by 3 inches, which was our front neck depth, and square it out. This line is the shoulder line of the front panel, and I'll square up the neck width as well. Please note that the front panel is placed on the back panel on the ½ inch seam allowance line. The seam allowance is not included, but at the neckline it starts at the edge of the fabric because I trimmed off that ½ inch seam allowance. You can see here that I've squared out the shoulder line of the front, which was 3 inches to the neck depth, and I've also squared up the neck width. With my tape on the shoulder line, I will go up by 1.5 inches and draw in my back neckline. This 1.5 inches is the difference in the front and back armhole level, as they are not the same. It could be more than 1.5 inches or less in some cases, but it works mostly with all sizes. On the shoulder line, I will go up by 1.5 inches and connect it to the neckline. It was so difficult marking on this lace fabric. I hope you guys can see my markings. I will go ahead and cut it out. On the neckline, shoulder line and armhole I used ½ inch seam allowance, and the side seam remained 1 inch. I'll be using this piece for the sleeve, and I'm cutting for both sleeves, so my fabric here is folded into 4. The width of my sleeve is 9 inches and this includes half-inch seam allowance, and the length measured 11 inches and this includes half-inch seam allowance to attach the sleeve to the bodice. The hem of the sleeve is already hemmed, so do not forget to add your hem allowance to your sleeve measurement. For the collars and placket, I'll be using this black cotton fabric for it. This remaining fabric will be for the short. I already have a detailed tutorial on the short on my channel, which is this one right here. The link will be in the description. The only changes I made on this one is that there is no turn up at the hem and no elastic at the back waistband. Aside from these two, every other thing is the same. So guys, I've cut out all my pieces for the shirt. This is the front and back panel of the shirt. This is the sleeve, and these are the plackets. I have interfaced them, and this is my shirt collar. The link to the shirt collar will be in the description. I'll go ahead and assemble the front and back panels on the shoulders and top stitch the seam allowance to secure it. I have done that, and this is what it looks like. This will help secure the stitches. The next thing I'm going to do is to attach the sleeve. So I will slightly curve it at the cap there. I came down about 3 inches and cut it out. Now the width of my sleeve measured 9 inches and this includes half-inch seam allowance, and the length 11.5 inches. This also includes half-inch seam allowance to attach it to the shoulder. My sleeve is already hemmed here, so I'll go ahead and attach it to the shirt. I have attached the sleeves and have top stitched the seam allowance to secure it. I sewed close one side of the side seam and will be sewing the other side later. I'll go ahead and assemble the shirt collar. A detailed tutorial on how to draft and sew a shirt collar will be in the description. I'll let you guys watch through the assembling. So guys, I'm done assembling the shirt collar. I'll go ahead and give it a good ironing. And this is what my shirt collar is looking like. The next thing I'm going to do is to attach the placket before we install the shirt collar. So I'll pin my placket in place and attach with a straight stitch. I have attached the placket to the wrong side of my shirt and have pinned it close to the right side. So I'll take it to my machine and run a top stitch to secure it. I've done all that I said. The placket has been installed and the shirt has taken shape. I've also stitched close the other side of the side seam and have piped the slits on both sides of the shirt. The next thing I'm going to do is to pin my shirt collar in place and attach with a straight stitch. So guys, we have completed the sewing of this shirt. The only thing remaining is to do the buttonholes and attach the buttons. Then the length of my slit measured 9 inches, so feel free to use whatever length that is convenient for you. I'll use this remaining fabric for the short. The length of my short measured 17 inches and this includes 2 inches the width of my waistband. I will measure it out, cut it out, and one of these pieces will serve as the back panel. The length of my short here measured 15.5 inches and the width of my waistband is not included here. The half inch is to attach the short to the waistband. The hem of this fabric is already hemmed, so do not forget to add your hem allowance to your measurement. This line will serve as my waistline. This line is my crotch line, and this is my half-inch seam allowance to attach the front to the back panel. From my waistline to my crotch line measured 8 inches plus 2 inches the width of my waistband, making it 10 inches, and my fabric here is folded at 19 inches. Now this short is the same tutorial as this one right here. I lost the tutorial of the back clip of this short. It was among the videos I lost when my SD crashed, but it's the same short tutorial with this one. The only difference is that on the back waistband there is no elastic and there is no turn up at the hem. But aside these two, every other thing is the same. So I'll leave the link to the tutorial of this short in the description. On the crotch line, I'll place 1/4 of my hip measurement plus an extra 1 inch for ease. For me is 11 inches. I'll place this same measurement on the waistline and connect these 2 points with a straight line. On the waistline, from the center front line, I will place 1/4 of my waist measurement plus my 1 inch dart. For me is 9 inches. I'll connect this point back to the crotch line. You can go ahead and indicate your hip line, but it doesn't make much of a difference. For my front crotch extension, I will divide 1/4 of my hip measurement by 4. For me is 2.5 inches. I will place 2 inches on the front crotch extension and add the remaining 1/2 inch to the back crotch, and I'll draw in my front crotch curve. I'll find the midpoint on the crotch line and square it down, and at the hem of my short, I'll place 1/4 of my hip measurement minus 1/2 inch and draw in my side seam and inseam. On the waistline from the side seam, I went in by 2 inches for my pocket opening, and I came down at 5 inches for my pocket depth opening and connected these 2 points. On the center front from the waistline, I will come down by 1/2 inch and connect it back to the side seam. On the waistline from the center front, I will place half of my bust span of 4 inches and square it down. On this line, I will place my 1 inch dart, 1/2 inch on both sides of the line, and draw in my dart legs. The length of my front dart measured 5 inches. I'll go ahead and cut out the front panel of this short. I used 1/2 inch seam allowance on the side seam, waistline, center front, and inseam. The hem of my short is already hemmed. So guys, like I earlier mentioned, I lost the back clip of the tutorial of this short, and this is me cutting out the back panel using the back pattern of the tutorial I earlier mentioned. So do well to watch the tutorial to get the full pattern drafting. I've gone ahead and cut out the lining for the short using the short as a template. I've also cut out my pocket pieces. I'll go ahead and trim off the pocket. Before you trim off this portion of the pocket on your short, please make sure you've cut out your pocket pieces. So I'm going to place 2 pieces of my pocket lining on the short and trim it off exactly like on the short. This is how your pocket will look like. Now on this part of the pocket that will be visible on the short, I will cut out a piece of the lace fabric and sew on it so as to match up with the rest of the body of the shirt. So guys, I have all my pieces here. I have my invisible zipper, the waistbands for the front and back panels interfaced, the pockets. I have attached the lace fabric on the side of the pocket that will be visible. So when I attach the pocket, this is what it will look like. I have the front and back panel pieces with their lining. So the lining is 4 inches shorter than the length of the short, and this includes seam allowance to hem the short. You can see the one I've already prepared here, so I'll go ahead and do the same with the rest of the pieces. I have trimmed off the excess on the lining and hemmed it, and you can see here the length of the lining measured the same on each panel of the short. I'll go ahead and install my pocket, so I'll pin the lining of my pocket piece in place and attach with a straight stitch, and I'll let you guys watch through the rest of the installation. I have installed my pocket and have cleaned off all the raw edges, and this is what my pocket looks like. I'll go ahead and assemble the front piece, and I'll do the same for the back piece as well. So guys, I've done all that I said. I have assembled the front and back pieces, and this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do is to attach the waistband. So at this point, I forgot to sew in the 1-inch waist dart on the front and back panel, and I went ahead and pinned my waistband in place. I attached it, which is this excess you're seeing on the waistline. So I went back to correct that. I'll go ahead and loosen the waistband and mark my dart. The length of my dart on the front panel measured 5 inches and on the back is 6 inches, and this measurement is from the waistline. So if you minus the width of my waistband, which is 2 inches, the length of my front dart will be 3 inches, while on the back will be 4 inches. So I went ahead and sew in the dart and reattach my waistband. So guys, I have sewn the dart and reattached my waistband, and this is what I have. I'll go ahead and assemble the front and back panels on the sides, and I will leave the side where I will attach the invisible zipper open. I've done all that I said, and this is what my shirt is looking like so far. I'll go ahead and install the zipper. You can choose to put your zipper on the side or in the center front of your trouser. So I'll go ahead and pin my zipper in place, making sure that the distance from my pocket width to the side seam is 2 inches, and I will attach with a straight stitch. I have attached the zip to the front panel of the shirt. I will close in the zip and mark the point where the waistband is attached to the shirt to help me match the back waistband correctly on the zip. Then I'll zip it close to ensure that the waistband are matched correctly. As you can see here, it's all looking good, and I'll go ahead and attach with a straight stitch. I have attached the zip, and you can see here that the waistband of the front and back matches. I will go ahead and pin the inseam in place and attach with a straight stitch, and I will stitch close the crotch as well. I have done all that I said. I have stitched close the inseams of the shirt and the crotch as well. I went ahead and pinned the hem of my shirt, and I'll secure it with a straight stitch. So guys, I've hemmed the shirt, and this is what it's looking like. The next thing I'm going to do is to attach the lining of the waistband, which I have joined together. So I'll pin right sides to right sides and attach with a straight stitch. I will notch round the waistband to release any tension. Then I will secure the seam allowance to the lining of the waistband to make it lay flat, and I will hem the raw edges of the lining. Once that is done, I will fold the lining of the waistband over like so and secure it on the zip. This will help hide the raw edges on the waistband. Then I will trim down the seam allowance and zigzag stitch the raw edges. I have done all that I said. I'll go ahead and top stitch the seam allowance starting from where the zipper ended. You might need to make a notch there to release it, all the way to the hem of the shirt to secure it. I'll zip close the zipper and turn out the ends of the waistband. Then I'll pin the lining of the waistband to the waistband to secure it as well, as you can see here, and I'll be sewing using a stitch in a ditch. We have come to the end of this tutorial, guys. Here is the final look of the shirt. And this is what the two-piece looks like. Like I earlier mentioned in the video, I'll leave the link to the tutorial of the shirt in the description so that you can get the full drafting video. Do not forget to like, share, leave all your questions in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. A bientôt!